डेटा एंड स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड एल्गोरिदम सब्जेक्ट में द फर्स्ट चैप्टर इज द एनालिसिस ऑफ एल्गोरिदम्स। इस चैप्टर में हमें जानना है व्हाट इज़ एन एल्गोरिदम और हम लोग एनालिसिस ऑफ एल्गोरिदम्स कैसे कर सकते हैं। हम लोग एल्गोरिदम्स को एनालाइज करके कैसे जान सकते हैं कि हमें उस प्रोग्राम को रन करने में कितना टाइम लगेगा या कितना स्पेस ऑक्यूपाई करेगा वो प्रोग्राम। सबसे पहले जानते हैं व्हाट इज़ एन एल्गोरिदम। So an algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for solving a computational problem. If you have a problem, you will be solving that. And for solving that problem, you must be following some procedures. And those step-by-step procedures for solving a computational problem is called an algorithm. So किसी भी problem को solve करने का जो step-by-step procedure होता है, that is an algorithm. Now program. What is a program? Program is also a step-by-step procedure for solving a problem. Program is also a step-by-step procedure. Program भी step-by-step procedure है for solving a problem. तो फिर difference क्या है? What is the difference between an algorithm and a program? What is the difference? Now, if you go through software development cycle, if you read software development cycle, then there are two very important phases: the design phase and the implementation phase. So what do we do in these two phases? Now first we design, then we implement. So at design phase, we don't write programs. We actually don't write programs. We just write how our program is going to work. We don't write the program. हम लोग प्रोग्राम नहीं लिखते in the design phase. हम लोग सिर्फ वो चीज़ें लिखते हैं जिनसे हमें पता चल जाए कि हमें प्रोग्राम में करना क्या है. How our program is going to work. We write only those things. In any language, that can be written in any language except programming language, because ये जो चीज़ें हैं हमें सभी को समझाना है that this is how our program is going to work. So that should be written in a language which is understandable by everyone. And so this is the design phase work, where we don't actually write programs. We just write how our program is going to work. Now at the implementation phase, we just implement that using any programming language. और implementation phase में हम लोग उसे किसी भी programming language में लिख कर implement कर सकते हैं. So there are two important phases: design phase and implementation phase. At design phase, we just write how our program is going to work, and at implementation phase, we write that program using any programming languages. Now, if I give you a practical example, then for constructing a house, what do? We just go and start constructing the house? No. First, we make a plan or we make a map. Now, that map is drawn on a sheet of paper. Now, after we make the map, we construct the house. So, map is a design phase work. We just design how our building is gonna look like, what are the bedrooms, the washrooms, and all things. We don't actually create the building or construct the building at that point. We just design. And after our design is complete, we start constructing our house and we make it a finished product. So that is, the map is a design phase work, whereas the construction of building is the implementation phase work. In the same manner, at design phase, we just write how our program is going to work, and that is known as algorithm. Whereas at implementation phase, we write the actual program using any programming language. So this is the first difference between algorithm and program, that algorithm is a design phase work and programming is an implementation phase work. Now after the first difference, the second thing arises: who writes an algorithm? So the person who writes the algorithm, he should have a domain knowledge or the problems knowledge. जो भी algorithm लिखेगा उसे उस problem की जानकारी होनी चाहिए. He should have that knowledge. If he doesn't have that knowledge, then he can't write an algorithm. Suppose you have read quadratic equation and there is a problem like this. Now everyone can't solve this. only those who know how to solve a quadratic equation can solve this. So it can't be done by anyone. Who will write the algorithm for solving this? The person who does have the domain knowledge, who does know how to solve a quadratic equation. So an algorithm can be written by any person who has that knowledge. Now suppose you are developing a software for a bank, then you are a programmer, then you may or may not have the knowledge of how the bank functions, but an employee of the bank or the manager of the bank does have that knowledge. So he can write an algorithm, and later on a programmer like you can implement that using any language. Now at writing algorithm, any language can be used, like English along with some mathematical notations, but not programming language, because programming language is not understandable by everyone. So any language that is understood by the algorithm writer and the programmer who is going to develop the software is enough for writing an algorithm. So a person who has the knowledge, who has the domain's knowledge, can write an algorithm. If the programmer knows, he can write the algorithm. But the main thing is a person should have the domain knowledge of that problem to write the algorithm. Now, so far we have seen two differences. That algorithms are design phase work, we only write how our program is going to work, whereas in program we implement that by using any programming language. Now, then an algorithm writer should have a domain knowledge, whereas programmer may or may not have the domain knowledge, but program will always be written by a programmer. He can write an algorithm, but the program is always written by the programmer. Now, the third thing, algorithm is written in any language which the two persons, the algorithm writer and the programmer, or everyone can understand, whereas program is always written in programming language. You have no other option. Now the fourth difference is algorithm is hardware and OS independent. We don't care about how, in which operating system, either it is Windows or Linux or Mac, in which system this program is going to work. We don't care about that. We just write an algorithm on a pen and paper. We don't need to worry about the operating system or hardware requirements. Whereas program is hardware and OS dependent. We need to have the knowledge that on which operating system or on which hardware we are going to run this program. If it is Windows, then the structure might be different. If it is Linux, then the structure might be different. Now, we analyze an algorithm, if it is efficient or not. How do we analyze an algorithm? We will be discussing that later. But we analyze an algorithm and check if it is efficient, if it is time efficient, क्या ये कम टाइम ले रहा है, क्या ये स्पेस जो ले रहा है that is fine, या फिर हमें उसे और कम करना होगा, or the space it is taking is too much. So we write an algorithm, we analyze an algorithm for that. Now we don't need to analyze an program. We just test the program by running and checking it. If it is running, then it is fine. If it doesn't run, then we have to do some changes in that.